Alright, first workout of 2025. We're going to be doing some burpees on the sandbag. The sequence is going to be down in the description, but it's going to be 25 1 pumps, 25 2 pumps, 25 1 pumps, 25 3 pumps, 25 1 pumps, 25 3 pumps, 25 1 pumps, 25 2 pumps. And after every burpee, it's going to be a sandbag clean. And it's a 56-pound sandbag here. So it's 200 burpees and then, I don't know, shit ton of push-ups. So we're just going to be chipping away at this and listening to a podcast here. Hopefully that doesn't hit the copyrights or whatever, but who cares? I don't make money on this anyway. Alright, 25 1 pumps. One. Three. Four. Five. 6. 7. 8. 9. Ten.
Conclusions. Even with Jesus, I'm not personally even waiting on that he has to come back. I already know like I said, that's straight from
11.
right now. So you don't have to wait for him to come back. For those that believe he does, to actually have that next level.
12.
Wes, go ahead. For what Billy was talking about.
13.
Yeah, well, first let me say, I think it's really cool to not just be in the room proverbially with you, Billy, be able to interact with you.
14.
I wish I could be there in person. Unfortunately, Toronto, Canada is a long way away from Florida. That's a little bit of a jaunt. But I really appreciate the fact that you seem to have investigated to a certain
15.
degree some of these facts. Do you want to ask a clarifying question? When you say the cyanide bottle, what are you referring to?
16. 17. 18.
So, when you refer to the cyanide Bible, would you be referring to the Codex Sinaiticus? Like the Codex that okay. That was
19.
Because, so you can actually go and see, Codex Sinaiticus is at the British Library, so you can go and see it. And the British Library is actually digitizing the
20.
manuscript. So I work with manuscripts in my linguistic work. I'm an expert on early Christian scribal culture, and particularly
21.
manuscripts. I actually have a facsimile, so I have a photocopy released done by the British Library of the texts that I work with in my office. So
22.
and the only reason I ask for clarification is because I want to make sure that what I'm addressing is actually what we need, and not
23.
because the Codex Sinaiticus in particular is just it's a 4th century Greek manuscript. It comes from approximately between 305
24.
and 350 AD. And its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text of the translation.
Alright, 25. 25 one
Just
pumps.
simply in kind of exploring, when you say that it denies the crucifixion, the crucifixion is there. I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up the end of, say, Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified. And that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or, the John 19, or any of the other ones. So I think my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently. So actually, are you able to
Alright, 25.
a website with the viewers?
25 two pumps.
While he's pulling that up too, like I keep saying to all the people.
We're gonna switch the handles up.
Scientists,
One.
linguists, I don't even know how to pronounce it the right way, like me.
Linguist?
What is
Yeah.
cyanide? I keep thinking cyanide. Cyanide, right?
Right.
2.
So, from my own knowledge that I know, when I really studied all this, what I thought was interesting about the Bible is how many different
3.
I studied C.S. Lewis back in the day, how many different eyewitnesses and stuff there were, and they went on purpose to mention so many other names, and they were able to gospels throughout history, throughout
4.
times. From my understanding, and those are the things that I
Dragging on
always
my shins.
thought were kind of interesting.
4.
That I felt was a good concept to prove. And then I want Billy's answer, and also, I'm just curious, like the side
5.
of the Bible, was that, where was that?
I found the text where I was referencing actually, in this book, there's the Gospel of Mark.
Okay, yeah.
6.
So that's good. So let's deal with that too, because I've actually worked with, there are 2 manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas is a really interesting document because it is a narrative work.
7.
And so that's why I think it's important to get to these sources. So at the very start of the Gospel of Barnabas, which we only have 2 copies of, one is in Italian and one is in Spanish. We see right off the bat that the Gospel
8.
of Barnabas, not to be confused with either the Epistle of Barnabas or the Acts of Barnabas, which are 2 apocryphal documents in the 2nd century. But the Gospel of Barnabas in particular, we know it's a forgery because it does things like, in chapter 92, it says that Jesus spent 40 days on Mount Sinai and then came to the Jordan River and walked to Jerusalem.
10.
But Mount Sinai is more than a week's journey away from Jerusalem, and neither Mount Sinai nor Jerusalem are close to the Jordan River. So never mind there not being a route from the Jordan River to Mount Sinai or Jerusalem.
11.
But there are internal problems.
No, not yet.
The Gospel of Barnabas, which indicate that it shows no actual indication of evidence of coming from, or even of first century Jewish understanding. It actually says Jesus is the Christ, but not the Messiah.
What?
Which indicates that whoever the author is, he didn't know that those were the same words. And I think a bigger problem is that the Gospel of Barnabas actually paraphrases Dante's Inferno,
13.
which was written in 1314. So there's a lot of einternal evidences that disqualify the Gospel of Barnabas, never mind the fact that we don't have any evidence of it prior to the 15th century, and none in any other language
14.
other than Middle Age Italian Italian and Spanish. But the internal content of the Gospel of Barnabas disqualifies it from being ancient. And then the fact that it's doing things like paraphrasing content,
15.
or it also refers to a rule of the time of Jubilee, which was changed in the Middle Ages from what it was in the biblical year of Jubilee. And it goes with the Middle Ages concept,
16.
not the ancient concept. So I think what I'm getting at is, so I'm a historian, and I deal with sources. So when I'm looking at sources, I want to make sure that I have a methodology by which
17.
I approach any type of source. So if there is something that denies the crucifixion, I want to make sure that I'm analyzing it, and that the methodology by which I analyze it actually reveals that the content can actually
18.
be tied to the event. So if we're talking about, say, Codex Sinaiticus, that's in the 4th century. Now that is, I would agree with you, Billy, our oldest copy of the Bible in the sense of cover to cover, Genesis to Revelation copy of the Bible. The problem is
19.
that we have individual copies of all 4 Gospels going back hundreds of years before Codex Sinaiticus. So I have a facsimile behind me of P66. This is the late 7th century
20.
copy of the Gospel of John. I work with this particular manuscript. I can just show the screen right here. This is an almost complete copy of the Gospel of John. And it's
21.
Yeah, so papyrus is just what it's made out of. So
I got that from
yeah,
22.
I can actually. Yeah, so I'll show you this. So so the documents you have to see in my bookshelf behind me are facsimile papyri that I've made. So when I was in Egypt last summer, I
23.
went and I got made for me some papyrus sheets. And so I take these papyrus sheets, which are made from the papyrus. And then when I go and I look at actual manuscripts, so I went to the University of
24.
Philadelphia last summer, and I went and I saw a document called P1, which is a 3rd century fragment of the beginning of the Gospel. So what I did
25.
is I sat down with that original, and I produced a facsimile. So I copied the text. First of all, I cut it out with an X-Acto knife in not the original 3rd century one on my papyrus. I cut out with an X-Acto knife this way, and then I copied the text transcriptionally on the front and the back. So papyrus is just simply, it's what it's made out of. And so there's categorizing systems. And the standard one is called the Gregory-Allan categorizing system. And so sometimes you'll see when manuscripts are mentioned, they'll have a GA and then a number behind it. If it's made of papyrus,
All right,
you
25
simply
one
abbreviate
pumps.
the word papyrus to P, and then you have the numbering system.
For those of you just jumping in, sandbags 56 pounds.
What I showed you earlier, that's this on a categorizing system. It's a 66 manuscript that was put into the system. It's in the Gospel of John. I also have 46 and 47 on my shelf, which includes all 4 Gospels of Acts from the 2nd and 3rd centuries. So the only hesitation I have with what you said, Billy, is that we have single copies of the Gospels that can be dated in the 2nd century that all do have the crucifixion. And so if we're relying on something like the Gospel of Barnabas, which is not just like, it's not that there's debate about it, it's a normal word. I mean, no one's referring to the Gospel of Barnabas as anything other than.
Let's talk about the Old Testament.
Well, hold on, guys. Do you mind if I address the Gospel of Jesus' wife?
5.
what was her name?
Yeah,
I'm like trying to write down something. I'm just curious.
so the Gospel of Jesus' wife doesn't actually mention it. So oftentimes what happens is that the text of the Gospel of
6.
Jesus' wife is kind of paralleled with the Gospel of Philip, which mentions that that Jesus would kiss Mary Magdalene on the mouth. And so those are kind of used in parallel kind of for this argument,
7.
for this argument that Jesus was married. So the Gospel of Jesus' wife is in Harvard Library. However, the reason we know it's also not
8.
legitimate is because even though the manuscript, the papyrus that it's on, was carbon dated to the 4th century, the text is actually copied from a
9.
PDF version of the Gospel of Thomas.
No, not yet.
It's interlinear. and there was a mistake in the Coptic text from the engineer that was copied into the Gospel of Jesus' life. So we know that this is not a legitimate document, even though the papyrus is ancient. This happens a lot with forgeries. I have a couple of friends who actually work on projects that have real forgeries within Dead Sea Scroll manuscripts and within other ancient Christian papyri. But the reason why we know the Gospel of Jesus' life and that Karen King vouched for it and kind of lost a lot of credibility, unfortunately, for her, and she's admitted that it's fake as well, was because we can tie it directly to not copying from an ancient text, but actually copying from an online version of the Gospel of Thomas in a PDF form, and the mistake on that PDF form was copied into the text that was borrowed in the phrase of Jesus' life. So I just point that out is, once again, with our sourcing, I think we need to make sure that we're going towards not just early sources, but actually credible sources. And unfortunately, either the Gospel of Barnabas or the Gospel of Jesus are credible sources.
15.
Agreed upon by not just pastors, but anybody in the field of papyrology, ideology, historiography, who actually refers to these documents as the
16.
Let's go to the Old Testament. Predominantly, manuscripts.
17. Say that again. We'll think about it. Shit. 18, I think. 19. 20. One. Two.
A totally different civilization with totally different religious beliefs.
Have you read the
23.
Do you mind? Sure. Do you mind summarizing the content of the creation account in the New Millennium for us?
Sure. The New Millennium is a very ancient text. It's covered in the Bible.
24. So every 25, I'm rotating from vertical handles, horizontal handles. Alright, 25, 3 pumps. For those of you who are hungover today, it's New Year's Day. Sorry. I quit drinking almost 2 years ago now. Feel so much better. 3 pumps. One. 2.
See that Saturn and Neptune switch places. Uranus is flipped on its side. That's where there's something about those times. And gravitation really tells that the world is not full.
3.
The axis of the planet on its full side, where the equator is not going to move itself. So, what the modern astrophysics backs up is ancient physics saying.
Four. Five. Six. You better get it. 7. 7. Figure it out. It's fine. Be a big girl. Seven. 8. So I used to feel sorry for myself. Because I didn't have time alone, so I used that as an excuse not to work out because I have a young child. But there will be interruptions. 9.
So there's a lot of text that's just covered and copied over text. And I think that when I was in, a lot of people just became a cargo culture.
10.
Sure. Do you mind if I just jumping in for a second? Because I think that we've kind of gone on from a bigger perspective. I appreciate that. I do have a few issues here this story, although I think
12.
I have read the Acadian version. My Acadian's not great, but I sat down with a seriologist friend a couple years ago. So
You can get one yourself.
I think that there are ones that you said that I would say I'm not sure if it's
13.
best summary. Nonetheless, okay, going with what you said. You said that there were like verbatim parallels with the biblical creation story. Even just going off of what you said, which I think there are components of that I would agree with, from the power of the gods, the concept of the
14.
gods being fighting that, and then Marduk, who swears he'll defeat Tiamat, and Krunku kills Tiamat by shooting her with an arrow. There's this big battle. And gods that die end up being Earth and sky and even us, because we are the end of that.
15.
I'm just curious, when you say that there are not just parallels, but there's actual copying, looking at Genesis chapter 1 and 2, the creation stories summarized in the Bible, what are the actual parallels there that
16.
as someone who's read both, I not only do I not find parallels, I actually, and this is the majority of ancient Christian scholarship with me, think that Genesis chapter 1 is actually apologetic against
19.
all the other activities.
It's Wednesday.
It's the detail that matters. And that if we're looking at not the superficial process, but the actual things, the concept of what it's saying.
20.
You don't have a creation in 7 days. You don't. So what about this?
21.
Sure. So
Discovered that was this
22.
let me just say this. So when I say it's actually apologetic against that, it's because the purpose of the leash, which outlines whatever you have on here, was to point out the fact that
23.
the deities, and there's countless deities in Babylonian pantheon, they actually come from the created order. So they're not outside of time and space. They actually come from the created order, and when they die, it's battle. They came out as defeated.
24.
The earth and the sky and the plants and even you and me. And in that sense, the theme is that you don't actually have any purpose or anything. And you are not created in the image of God. In fact, in the ancient Babylonian system, the kings were created in the image of God. And
Alright,
what we see
25.
as counter to that is that even though they're superficial, divided waters, we find that in almost every society and culture, that's not a parallel as much as just generality. I would say what we see in the
Alright.
account is that
So we're halfway done.
purposefully
What do we got?
he purposefully creates. And
Fat dude lifting a sleeping bag.
and it continues to say
Seems like he should control the descent instead of a drop. Cool.
And then he creates humanity.
Let's go New Year's Day workout. That's what's up.
The humans that he creates in God's image. And they have
Keep it up, old man.
that instills them with this creation order. And that's not what
Fat dude lifting a sleeping bag.
is that the created order is not good, it's a mistake. And that you are not created in the image of God.
That's awesome.
And there's a reminder
Good
that
one.
other people are not created in the image of God. So
It's like the David Goggins stuff, or Goggins.
does have semantic
Listen to the negative shit.
does it with
Good for you.
It is a-
Alright, 25 one pumps.
the gluten is language. But
Gotta keep lifting my 56 pound sleeping bag.
superficial kind of concepts that are
One.
there, but they're so superficial that we can find them in everything. In the sense of I'm in out the studio, you're on the studio. That doesn't mean that
Dude.
we're the same people or we're even in the same place. Does that make sense?
Three.
So what's the word?
Four.
Yeah. Well, throughout the Hebrew Old Testament and the Greek New Testament, you have the masculine singular pronoun used for God. God isn't a man. See, within Israel Christianity, it's
Six.
that God has a gender. However, the way that he has decided to reveal himself is through the masculine plural, and then ultimately by becoming a human in the person of Jesus Christ. So we don't
Seven.
believe that God has a gender. In fact, the fact that God creates humanity in his image and he creates them male and female, those are two aspects of the image of God, and so that's the completeness. Historical Christianity has never believed that God is gendered. Jesus is gendered in the sense that during the incarnation he becomes a human man, but he's still fully man, fully God. But God is spirit, and right, as Scripture said, he worship one spirit in truth. But no argument that
9.
what's that, sir? Yeah, but we do see that in Scripture, God has revealed himself through the masculine plural. And there are aspects of God's character that we see within Scripture that do actually communicate. Jesus says that he longs to gather Israel like a mother hen collects her chicks. So we see aspects of, the feminine of God, not meaning that God is feminine, but that the image of God reflects both the masculine and the feminine, and that's why when the two become one flesh, there is a uniting of that reflects the image of God as well. Covenant of marriage. I mean, it's irrelevant for the majority of Christians believe. Yeah.
12.
Well, I was taught it growing up. I was taught it in when I was a child, when I went to seminary, when I went to Bible college, I was taught it in graduate school. I would say I would say a few things to that. I would say, in one sense, it's irrelevant what the majority of Christians believe, because what historical biblical Christianity articulates is what they should believe. There are Christians who run around saying all sorts of things that are not in conformity to biblical, historical, Orthodox Christianity.
14.
And they should believe that, because it's irrelevant. And so if one Christian believes something that is not in line with biblical Christianity, I mean, that's on them. So God is not gender, but the
15.
does express through inspired scripture the masculine plural,
Not yet.
masculine pronoun.
16.
Yeah, I mean, so hold on, let me speak to that, because it is interesting that, yeah, sure.
16, 15, 16. 16,
I
right?
would have a hard time following a lot of stuff. For me, like you said, Jesus
17.
came that when they were literally like, oh, you can just accuse him of having an affair.
18.
That he was like, he just reminds me of anyone that basically challenged everything. And people say that it
19.
didn't contradict what's in the Old Testament, but however people were interpreting it, they were believing that they were following the Bible to women can't do this, stone if they have an affair.
20.
Accused of having an affair. And Jesus, as we know, the famous scene when they were about to stone her, he's like, he who has not sinned, cast the first stone. And
22.
was the first one that I know of that started like speaking to other tribes and other countries that people were supposed to like, they were so racist and prejudiced. This is where my heart opened up. It's like he stood for this love and this God that broke down all these barriers and just flipped the stones and everything was saying
24.
on its head. And that's where I found that I believe that he was crucified because he went so far like this all the time. And
25.
I get what you're saying here, your stuff was, that's keeping you, we're going to need to add in, and this is there, and that's.
Alright, moving
There's
into
something else that I always was curious, I'm like, if, especially the New Testament.
25 3 pumps. See what kind of comments, words of wisdom we got here.
They would have done a better job of not making
Nothing new. Cool.
so,
What do you guys think of Mr. Jay Butler, Wasted J? It's this fat dude lifting a sleeping bag. What do you guys think?
do this miracle. This is like, dude, just
Alright,
water or wine.
3 pumps. Reminder of the sleeping bag here is 56 pounds. Alright, 25 3 pumps.
It's questionable. It's like they have so many characteristics where the humanity
2.
as king, you're gonna like have the story end perfectly, but then he goes off to see, he's watching this lady bathe nude, has an affair with her, has her husband killed. It's like, but then goes on to
3.
keep praying to God and coming back to God like with a humanity, and God's like, this is a man after my own heart, and it's like finding all these human flaws is, to me, shows so much like the beautiful
4.
struggle that, and I'm not going off everything you guys are talking about, which is factual stuff. I'm just talking from my own experience of ways where I grew and continue to draw my own conclusions. And I'm much more about my relationship with
5.
God personally, with Jesus and God. It's the same over worshiping the religion, because so many people can, as we all know, that's wars are created, slaves are taken, there's so many horrible things that have been done in the name
6.
of religion. And it's sad, and that's where Jesus comes back into the game to me. I'm talking, guys, to me, to where he was like the one that was like gathering all these people, all these people. What are you doing? Like, we're supposed to be here to help each other. This is about loving each other and coming together. And
7.
you're killing them because they eat meat on Tuesday and they don't eat bacon on Sunday, and you're literally like murdering each other. It's so messed up. So I get where people look at different organized religions and
8.
they're like, this is horrible. Like, on behalf of Christians, I'm like, I'm fully apologetic for, what was it, the Crusades. It's like, in the name of Catholicism, there's so many horrible things that human beings have done. And I'm speaking as someone that
9.
I would call myself a Christian. And I'm just letting everyone know that I'm an open, critical thinker in how I continue to find my own beliefs, because I never sat here ignorantly and was like, nope, throughout history they've all been perfect. It's like, dude, the Crusades, they would even commit genocide, rape, killing, the
Sad.
all this stuff, wearing these huge crosses, and I'm like, but God wasn't with them. They said he was, but that's why I also believe in the devil. And I don't believe he's this dude with a pitchfork and a red tail. I think it's more comes, an energy and thoughts that comes in people. And it's like,
11.
talks to this guy who's rising to power. You should set up that other country and do it in the name of God. And then, that's the guy. So anyway, go ahead. I had to just throw it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really great resource written by John
12.
Dixon. It's a book called Bullies and Saints, where he goes through a lot of the instances that we're obviously going to find abuses, and every human being is going to find a way to exploit whatever is presented to them. So in one sense, I think we can say, isn't it convenient that God has a masculine pronoun, or the masculine
13.
mistake, the masculine pronoun, and we can say, oh, sure, that's convenient, maybe, but it is how he has revealed himself to us, and it's not his fault if we abuse that. I mean, we could say, so I grew up in the Middle East. My parents worked in Jordan, and when I was living in the
14.
Middle East, there was a country called the Democratic Republic of Iraq. Now, just because democracy exists and people
I need to turn this heater off.
things democratic, but they obviously aren't, doesn't mean we then judge democracy. I mean, think of the Democratic Republic of North Korea, right? Nobody thinks that that's an actual representation of
14.
Democracy. So people are always going to use terms and ideas and concepts. The difference is, though, I think, historically within Judeo-Christianity, this ethic that we were talking about before, that is fundamentally different than what we find in things like the Illuminati, the Atracis, and other things, in that we are created beings of God. And actually, one of the earliest criticisms of Christianity are by individuals like Celsus, who's a Greco-Roman philosopher in the 2nd century, where he accused Christianity of being foolish, dishonorable, and stupid, and he called it the religion of slaves, women, and children. Why?
16.
Not because God used the masculine pronoun for himself and people are abusing that, because the concept that Christians believed in of everybody, no matter what your gender, your race, your social standing. You know, Paul says, Christ bears no slave nor free, there's no Jew nor Gentile, there is no Scythian or barbarian, there's no male nor female. You know, these things united people. And we can see there's a historian named Rodney Stark, and in his book, The Rise of Christianity, he actually says you can track empirically the agency of women across the ancient world
18.
by the movement of Christianity. So that, in other words, whenever an area became populated by Christians, we see a direct correlation with the privileges and treatments of women that expand in time when the surrounding culture largely didn't view women as being fully human. So I think we're always going to have abuses. If there's
19.
one worldview that exists that gives agency to people and says that everybody has worth by nature of being just human, it's the Christian worldview, and that's where I think it's very different. So we can argue about why we think God should or shouldn't have revealed himself in his pronouns, but I think that's actually irrespective of the historical reality that we see within the
20.
of Christianity, particularly on the West, but around the world, and how it gives agency to the marginalized.
Wes, could I ask you, so when you, so I'm always interested, it's like you were raised Christian. I was thinking about this, like my wife was Muslim, and our beliefs at the core are so similar, but there's some differences. And I wonder, like, if I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, where she was, I know the Bible says Christ revealed, but C.S. Lewis is someone that I really respect, because I'm an entrepreneur, I think outside the box.
22.
We should be, no one should just be like sheep and follow what any of us are saying. Like, do your research on your own with everything, of course. But what led you, sorry, go back to C.S. Lewis real quick. He was a famous scholar who was once an atheist, set out on a journey to basically disprove the Bible. As he went to do that, he himself found out that to be like one of the most historically accurate written books, which really shocked him. He then became a Christian.
24.
He's done the Narnia movies, Lion, the Witch, and the Ward over their books.
Was that a 3 pump or a 2 pump?
But he has an amazing.
Make sure.
I like him because he doesn't just act like he always was.
Redo. 24.
Why is there this? Why are these little kids dying, God, when they're but something that he continued to come up with, which reminded me so much of Jesus and the love conquers all things too, is when so many people overly get caught up on individual relationship. It's like I've actually.
Alright, that's 25. 3 pumps.
Closer to
That's 150 burpees down.
some Christians that are further away from God without even knowing it. And I believe that too so much. And I'm just really curious, like, as you went on your journey as being like a historian, studying biblical texts, and then being raised
I'm almost done.
of the church, did you take it, I don't want to quote, did you take it upon, like, whatever I continue to discover, I'm going to have to accept, like, say something you did when you were in Egypt,
25 1 pumps.
revealed differently than what you were taught. You know, like, did you...
So this is
kind of
150
focus
to
on
175.
like, searching for truth about, like, a set conclusion to prove Christianity,
1.
knowing that it could go either way. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a bit of an unusual household. My mom grew up in India, and my dad, when I was younger, I was born in Pakistan, and I spent a portion of my childhood in Jordan. I grew up in majority Muslim countries and surrounded by majority Muslim environments. And we had, a copy of the Quran in fact, we had the Bhagavad Gita, the Mormon,
3.
and for a little while, other documents in our house. These were things that my parents, although they never verbally said, these Christianity is true, therefore these are not forbidden. These are not verboten. You know, the truth, capital T truth, of the reality of the world that we behold can stand up against scrutiny and investigation. And I did do a great deal of that as a kid. My dad is a historian as well. He has a doctorate, and I grew up on him, reading the Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire. But at the same time, the reason why I actually went to university with the intention of going to the police force.
6.
But it was interactions with Muslims and Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses and atheists and accusations against the credibility of the Bible, which actually piqued my interest. Because they would say things that I said that I thought, that's
7.
true. Of course, that I believe that Jesus is God incarnate. If I can't trust the Gospels as reliable first century eyewitness testimony, then I might as well throw all of this away because I'm not going to believe it, even if it's a convenient.
Eight.
So it was actually exploration of eventually going into graduate college and then now in working on my PhD, the largest secular university in Canada, that got me thinking, okay, how do we investigate these things? What are the methodologies by which we go about to explore
9.
the origins and credibility of something like the Bible? And that investigation, with all respect to Billy and the content we put out, has actually confirmed what I believe. I'm dealing with actual manuscripts. I travel to academic institutions, to other countries, and I look at these things, and I read them, and it's a privilege to be able to learn languages like Greek and Coptic and Hebrew and Aramaic and dig into these things. And I think ultimately, I really appreciate what you said with articulation of your personal relationship.
11.
And I think that's so important. But I think it's also important to remember that that relationship is based on something that's real and verifiable. And we can look into the evidence. I have friends who are linguists, philologists, and historians. And when we look into these things and we talk with one another and we're discussing, we're constantly trying to falsify our theories because that's what good history does. We're looking for the falsification. You don't go in, ideally, if you want to be a good historian, with trying to prove your original thesis. You go in and say, okay, what are the avenues that actually could disprove this? And then how do we
14.
engage with those in an appropriate and articulate manner? So, what I believe is true, but I believe it based on the evidence of the actual documentation. I've read a lot of the literature that you're talking about, Billy, the Numalish Yatrasis, the Bhagavad Gita, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I've read some of them in their original languages because I've tried to be a good historian and go back into the primary sources. Or I can engage with people like my friends who are Syriologists, who are philologists, and try to not just go off of the translation of the original. And I think I found largely the opposite of the conclusions that you have
18.
And I know that you are very passionate about what we talk about, and I respect that. I just think that the confidence might not actually be backed up by the reality of the evidence. So when we're looking at something like the Sinai Bible, when we're looking at something like the Gospel of Barnabas, when we're looking at something like the Gospel of Jesus' wife, these are things that actually have provenance that we can verify. And ultimately, I think the answers to the questions of legitimacy or the illegitimacy of those things point to not just a different conclusion, but actually an opposite conclusion and a
20.
Well, I'm glad you said that. So, those three topics are a very small piece of my concept and idea of what really happened in ancient past. So, that's a very small fraction. And that's a about
21.
Christianity is real. There's been eyewitness accounts of every culture that I've visited around this entire planet. Their eyewitness accounts of what they experienced is 100% opposite of what's in the Bible.
based on what do you mean?
22.
An example?
The Dogon tribe, for example, they experienced a culture that they claimed came to this planet in Series B. They had the evidence of
23.
they have instruments that show the orbit of a trinary star system that we couldn't discover until the 1970s with our modern technology. And they understood not just the planet, Sirius A, B, C, but even
24.
a fatal star, which you can't see it from Earth with the naked eye. They knew that it was a black dwarf. They knew that they said that it was a tablespoon. The entire tribe was found
25. Oh, vertical.
That person can never touch a person. If they get touched by another person, they actually get killed. And they eventually have a mentee that they break down that vertical falls to, and that next person then takes over, becomes the wisdom keeper. And they've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. And science, modern science, has found all the information to be 1,000
I want to take a picture of that comment. That's awesome.
with the Americans.
Thank you.
Also having engagements with these quote-unquote starbursts.
Thanks for that gold.
Being taken on the ground.
All right.
I just think
Last set of 25.
the people from Turkey and Mesopotamia also being taken underground into a place called
All right, so we're gonna do 25 2 pumps.
These people, a structure that's built 12 stories deep underground, that's made
If you refer to the comments there at the bottom, this is a fat man lifting a sleeping bag workout. I think I'm gonna call it that.
thousands of years old. It was reused many times. So the mainstream story is where it's
56-pound sleeping bag here. All right, 25 2 pumps.
and in order to build it, you actually have to have foreknowledge of how to construct
25 2 pumps.
civilization that holds people, places for livestock, places for worship. And most of them have to have hundreds of ventilation shafts that have been down there. Those ventilation shafts go up through solid rock going down to the core. And there's even more. It links to other underground cities that are miles away. As we get to the very base of this area, those who go to the location.
2.
Again, these people were taken. Also, then you have the ancient Egyptians. Similar story. When the disaster comes, these people come and take them underground. The information in the Egyptian book of 145, there are more accounts of
3.
our ancestors that have accounts that do not match up with the biblical text. And so all of a sudden you're saying that all these cultures, right, the Aboriginal people, I can go into them as well.
Sure.
4.
In the outback,
Yeah.
the Aboriginal, same thing. They proceeded here by Pleiades. This is their birth in history for thousands of years. And I can go around the world and I can come with all this information, all these eyewitness accounts. People should be respected, they should be
5.
and shouldn't be scoffed. And that we're now saying that all this information they put forth, all their verbal history, all their written history, that's got to go to the side because this context is 1,000% accurate.
Sure, but so my question is, that's oral
6.
history, correct? Okay, so when we're engaging with oral history, what methodologies are you using to confirm that the orality is accurate?
Some of these texts are
7.
these cultures have written down information in caves, cave paintings. The Dogon tribe actually have not only written down.
Sure. No, I don't disagree with that. The question is one of historic. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. The question is one of methodological analysis. So you have to have a method by which you can find either that something is falsifiable or that there are avenues by which you can show internal and external accuracy and credibility. So this is what we do with documents. This is what we do with ancient documents. This is what I do on Xenophon and Plutarch. And we look at the internal evidences and the external multivalent collaboration to try to figure out, okay, yes, we have all these stories. Great. So, deny that.
10.
As a historian, as someone who's trying to figure out what is accurate, how do you know if I use the term verisimilitude, do you know what that term means?
Tell me how it goes.
11.
Show me the orbit with a special tool that they made that was given to them by these people. How do they know the shapes and sizes, the colors, and the orbital pattern of the planets and so forth. And those programs have been used to have some signal and
12.
that's not enough.
So, well, I'm not aware of that particular case. And even, I would grant that, the ancient people are far more technologically advanced than we give themselves credit for. Just because they're ancient doesn't mean they're stupid. I'm well aware as someone who has done
13.
investigation in the past and done archaeological analysis, that is a reality. My question is simply, okay, you have these stories, or you have these accounts, you're referring to them as eyewitness testimony. How
14. No, I'm almost done.
as that.
People have eyewitness testimony about Jesus. They didn't just rope in their eyewitness testimony on a piece of paper or virus.
But that's where internal logic
15.
analysis.
It's the same exact thing. There's really no difference.
Well, no, so you do internal investigations to figure out when something is dated. So something like so when I use that term verisimilitude, that's something used to determine
16.
to determine that something means the appearance or likelihood of truthfulness. So when you do historical analysis, it's an inference to the best explanation. So you have proof, you have data, and you're extrapolating that data on levels of probability. So some things can be
17.
high probabilistically true, and other things are lower in their probability that they have. But there are different methodologies, different ways that you explore historical evidence.
No.
So Gospels, you look at
18.
sure, and I'm not even denying that necessarily, but the question is, okay, we need different levels of
19.
exploration, not just scientifically, but
No.
historically to derive something as eyewitness testimony. Now we have mountains of that, and I'm more than willing to go into some of that with the Gospels as early eyewitness testimony that can be verified extremely.
20.
externally. But nonetheless, the only reason I ask, Billy, is because I've listened to a fair amount of your content, and I'm unaware of the methods that you use to try to discern between what is an accurate source historiographically and an inaccurate source.
21.
Does that make sense?
22.
Okay, so I don't dispute that, and I do believe you have done that. But I mean, even from what we've talked about, so you've researched the text, but when we talk about the crucifixion, everything you cited was either, and I mean, it's not
23.
false in terms of the Sinai Bible, because Codex Sinaiticus is just the 4th century Greek manuscript of the Gospels that we have today, or they were verified forgeries in terms of the Gospels like
24.
Sure, but that was the original question. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, well, so I'm going on with what you talked about. I said you explained
25.
this. I don't deny that. But the evidence, by going off of what you have put forward in terms of the actual documentary evidence, is
Looks like Gregory verified agrees with fat dude lifting a sleeping bag. Alright guys, that was cool. Get some steam.
Like, this is what I do as my career. But I'm
Alright, Happy New Year.
because in history we go to the primary sources.